All right, hi everyone. This is John Kramer, host of the At The Eyepiece Show, and we are going to be talking about today SkyTools3. SkyTools3 Observing Program. Well, Observing Planning Program in particular. You know, one of the most overlooked things that I think amateurs do is they don't plan, or we don't plan our observing sessions. And I have to admit, I have been lax at doing that on many occasions as well. And what it can do is it can lead you to be out in a beautiful dark sky site. You know, you go through your list of quick objects that you know of from memory, but then you're kind of lost. What other objects can I see now? What other objects are up right now? What can I go ahead and see in my 6 or my 8-inch scope versus, say, my 12? That's where observing planning software comes in. And one of the most powerful available to amateur stargazers is SkyTools3. You can find out more information on SkyTools3 by going to SkyHound.com. In fact, I am at the SkyHound's additions comparison page right here, and we're going to be talking about the different flavors of SkyTools3. They offer a starter, a standard, and a pro. And let me go ahead and briefly cover a little bit of this. And I like the way they do this, by the way, too. Their starter edition is really for the novice observer with binoculars or a telescope up to 4.5 inches in diameter. And you're basically able to see stars and plan for objects that are down to about magnitude 12.5. That's about 4 million stars in its database. Now you have your standard edition, which I think is probably the most popular version out there. This is for observers with instruments larger than, say, 4.5 inches. It goes to 16 million stars, down to 15th magnitude. It also has a number of features, obviously, that the Star Edition doesn't, or the Starter Edition does not. It has an interactive atlas, visual context viewer, which is movable eyepiece simulation attached to the Sky Atlas. You can keep track of your observing by using the logbook, as well as the Sky Events planners, eclipses, satellite events, meteor showers, etc. Plus, you have star split or double star splitability ratings, a thumbnail viewer, which I will get to here shortly, one of the best parts, I think, of SkyTools. And it also has a computer control add-on for those of you that have computer control. You can go ahead and connect it up to the telescope and direct your objects slewing from SkyTools3. Now you also have your Pro version. The Pro version is said to be a level for experienced visual observers that also do astrophotography and perhaps observed from a dark sky site, because it has 522 million stars, down to magnitude 20th. Real time, by the way, telescope control is included in the Pro. It's an available add-on with your standard. And one of the things, it has everything that your standard has, plus an imaging session planner, an exposure calculator, images, context viewer, GPS location tool, and monitor planet and comet search. So I really like the fact that they offer 3 versions, because what good is having 16 million stars if you only have, say, a 3-inch telescope? You're never going to use all those, which I do like the way it organizes. So let's go ahead and jump right on into SkyTools3. You notice right up at the top here of our application, you start off with 5 tabs across this page. Nightly planner is generally where you start out with. Your current events, your special events. Let me click these as I go through. Current events such as occultations, Jupiter satellite events. I've used this before for. Special events. Again, oppositions, elongations, conjunctions, things along those lines. Lunar phases, Jupiter Great Red Spot transits as well could be located on these special events. Ephemerids, I probably mispronounced that, but of course that is essentially object viewing times, and of course your real-time telescope control tab, which is used to integrate with your scope. So let's go back. Right below the nightly planner on this initial page. You have your star chart atlas icon, your log option there. You have telescope add and modify option. You can add a number of telescopes to this. And this is important to do because this has the ability to render, and I'll show you here shortly, render the eyepiece view fairly accurately to the particular telescope that you're using. When you have add a number of eyepieces too. Pretty good database, by the way, of included eyepiece, and of course you can go ahead and add your own that may not be on there. One thing I will say that I wish that they had the capability to do is I find that I needed to assign the eyepieces to each and every telescope. I wish they had an option, maybe in a future release, to assign each or assign a group of eyepieces. Or all the eyepieces that you put in, assign them all to the same telescope. I mean, I use the same eyepieces for all the telescopes. This includes the scopes, by the way, type, aperture, focal length, etc. So you can add a number of scopes there for you. Add and modify binoculars. You can go ahead and add different binoculars to there for you. And of course, it has a search function. You can add a quick search, and I'll elaborate here on that, but it works pretty simple. For instance, if I wanted to add M27 to this observing list that I'm working on, I can go ahead and just type in M27 here, find it, add it to the list in no time, and I'm done with that. You also have the option to do an advanced power search, they call it. This is very powerful. You can find objects based on their catalog, whether or not they're multiple stars, their color, their distance, period for multiple stars, their splittability for double stars, variable star classification too. So very powerful stuff there within your star catalog. Your galactic deep sky, same thing. You can go ahead and add planetary nebula that is based on a certain size, distance, magnitude. Same thing with open clusters, globular, etc. And of course, extragalactic, while you're talking galaxies, galaxy groups, and quasars. And all of this can be added to your particular observing list. Now, speaking of observing list here, I'm going to bounce down here to about we're still on the nightly planner page. And of course, it gives you a graphical representation of the sun, moon, rise and set times, and also, when the moon is projected to be at its highest point, set, and then of course, if you select an object, when that object is going to be at its best observing time with a red dash. So that's very, very helpful, as well as giving you indicators of, when it's going to be pretty dark or just, reaching past sunset, twilight, etc. Now, I do like that the fact that you can have different observing lists also grouped into logical groups. This is one nice feature I do like about SkyTools3. For instance, I've created AL observing lists. And within that AL observing lists group, I add, astronomical league lists that I was able to download from SkyTools3 webpage right here into that group. I do like that feature a lot. It's just kind of logically laid out. I can also create one for urban targets, where I use mostly for any type of star parties that I do. I also created one carbon stars, and of course there's a number of lists in there. But let's go back to AL observing list open clusters. Those are the group and the lists, and of course within this list you have a number of columns for these particular objects. They're rather typical. You have your star rating, what rating you give them. They have their primary ID, such as M26, their secondary ID, such as an NGC 6694, constellation, right ascension, declination, magnitude, size, distance, a rise time, a set time, a transit time, etc. You can modify these columns, by the way, which is another nice feature. On the far right of your window, you'll see a blue icon. Wish they gave a little bit more description of these features, by the way, but if you mouse over it, it should pop up. This is your schema. This is your column schema. Right now, you have the default, and you can select whatever columns that you want to have on there. simply by checking them off for your default, or you can actually make your own column schema list, and I like that. For instance, I have one here, double stars, which would give me, a column for separation, position, angle, etc. I might not be interested if I'm observing double stars with their size or their distance, but certainly with their separation, etc. You have an option to go ahead and create note and groups rating there. I haven't used that feature much. Honestly, I really don't know much about that here. But your list filters are something else here on this initial nightly planner tab that you might find handy. You can go ahead and list it based on, well, I just want to see galaxies, or I just want to see variable stars, or just globular clusters. And this would filter it further based on the observing list that you're using. Also, you can sort it by constellation too. Let's say I just want to see too what objects are near maximum altitude for best observing. You can choose that option as well. All right, and then let's say we wanted to go ahead and see what objects are visible, maybe day or night, twilight, moon, or complete darkness only. We have those options here. So as you can see, the user interface is pretty clean. Now I would actually prefer to have some more real estate on the user interface dedicated to buttons and options, etc. myself, but I guess they go towards SkyHound likes a clean user interface with a lot of other options brought up from secondary menu options. So let's look up some of these. Now I'm on M26. I just highlighted it here with my mouse. Now if I right click on that, or rather if I there we go. If I right click on it other than within the star region here, I can go ahead to Object Info, View Interactive Atlas, View Overhead Sky, View Naked Eye, and you see these are all options with also shortcut keys. That's just something you got to get used to while you're using the product. So in a way, maybe they wanted to go for a clean user interface with a lot of shortcuts that you can get to certain features. And of course, View Scope and Binoculars will bring up your particular object you have highlighted with any particular telescope that you want to go ahead and see. You can also print your chart and quick log entry, create log entries, and get deep sky image. So a lot of functions that you have if you right click, and of course all of these have the quick key shortcut. Now let me bring up some features here that are I think kind of unique to well, no, certainly within SkyTools3 it's a strong point, and that is the interactive atlas. Let me shrink this window down here to fit more into the window that I'm broadcasting from. Let's see if we can do that here. There we go. That's giving you an idea now of kind of what we're doing. And as you can see, this is actually a kind of a nice, capable sky atlas in and of itself. I was actually pretty impressed with that. Look at the richness of the star fields here in Scudam near M26. Now, this is simply the interactive atlas. We can close that. Now, let's say we want to see M26 through, let's say, what is it going to look like through the LS8 ACF? And of course, we have this view here. And unfortunately, I gotta shrink this up again here. I wish it would save these types of different views, but you'll get the picture here in a moment, the whole picture. Shrink that up here. And this is again, this is a really nice feature of SkyTools3. You have 3 different viewing options here. Currently I have selected my Finder view, which is a 6x30 Finder view, and the eyepiece view of the Meade LS8 ACF with Series 4000 eyepiece. So let's go ahead and drop that down. Let's say that we're going to go ahead and use a mirror diagonal, which is pretty standard with that. And let's say I'm going to use a 2x Barlow with it. That gives us the viewing options with M26, and this should be rendered fairly accurately with the telescope. Now, of course, we can also go to our naked eye view, So let's just say we want to know a general view of where that is in our night sky. We have our naked eye view facing the south. We have our finder view, and then of course we have our eyepiece view. So these are all very, very helpful um, and powerful features, I think, within SkyTools 3. I really like these features. I don't use the naked eye that much. I mean, I'm going to get an idea of where they are, the naked eye from the finder, and of course in the direction from the telescope. So I really enjoyed this feature of SkyTools 3, and one of its main selling points, I think, is that its ability to do so. Let's go ahead and say, I think I showed you the interactive atlas, the overhead sky. Pretty much, as the name implies, overhead sky is going to give you the whole, the whole view of what time it is that you have the object. It's not really going to go ahead and give you any type of specific view of the object, just the overhead sky at the time of observation that you have set here. And of course, the telescope, you can go ahead and choose that. This will give you pretty much the same features as the other view did, just particularly with your scope of choice. I really like, again, the view here. Let me drop that down. I'm certainly not going to use a Barlow with that. I get some more eyepiece selections. It's kind of one of those points that I wish I could have the eyepieces all kind of set for all of my telescopes, but that's minor. I just have to go through and add them up here. So this is basically what the view through my eyepiece should be of M26 with 78 times magnification. And this should be a general location where I'm hunting it down with my finder scope. So I really enjoyed that feature. Now another thing is nice here is let's go to object info. One of the strong points, I think, of the product is the synopsis. On this night, M26 is best visible between 21:17 and 02:42. That's 2 a.m. With the optimum view at about 12:03. Look for it in Scutum, high in the sky, complete darkness. It is very challenging visually in the Celestron Series 8. Next Star 40 will give you an optimum visual detection. So I like that. I do like the way it just kind of flows there. It gives you a good overview of what you're going to be checking out. Chart numbers, in case you bring your normal printed charts out. Pocket Sky Atlas is included there. Visual difficulty with different telescopes and what they're part of with the observing lists. Year bar 2 as to what the best date was, and then of course apparent data really kind of gives you the specifics of the object. So I did like that too. And you have a little menu or an action menu here down at the bottom. Again, I don't know. The layout, I wish there was some improvements with the user interface here rather than having it go all the way down here to the bottom. I just kind of find that kind of odd. But you can create a quick log entry based on the time of day that you're observing. You're seeing presets you can configure, transparency presets you configure. You can basically go ahead and just put in your notes on this particular object and create the log entry, and you're done. And you have now logged you're observing for M26. You can also create a quick log entry. That is, as the name implies, should be a little bit quicker. Insert eyepiece, 18 millimeter, and like those. I actually kind of like the quick log entry versus anything else, but that's just my personal preference. So that's your standard version. Your layout here. I think I talked about the columns. I think might not have talked about one of the nice features that I really enjoy here. About SkyTools 3, and that is right here in the upper right hand corner, I believe. View list as thumbnails. This is really neat. I know my screen resolution here is a little bit smaller, but this, as the name implies, gives you all of these objects in a graphical thumbnail view. And I love this because now I can go through and say, I want to see objects that really, really are going to be standout in my Meade LS8 ACF and a 14 millimeter eyepiece. NGC 6604, that looks like it might be good. So is 6716. Certainly the wild duck clusters looks like it's going to be good. M26, Calander 372, not so much. And then you can cycle through these pages and find interesting objects that you want to go ahead and check out. Trumpler 35, that doesn't look very exciting. Berkeley 47, that might be worthwhile. Same thing with 82. Of course, 6709. So this is a really great way for I like this feature a lot. 6793 looks like it would be very good. So will Calander 408. So you kind of get the point here. This is one of the really nice features that I like about SkyTools 3. So I hope that goes through most of the important information here. Of course, it does have a red light version here for SkyTools 3, so you don't have to worry about that. But this is basically just a quick overview, user interface review of the product. And I think for folks that are interested in double stars, in fact, let's take a moment here for that. In particular, they should get a lot from this product because of the rendering the product does with your double stars. It is supposed to be one of the best products out there as far as double star rendering. They really hype that up on their webpage. Here's an eyepiece view with the Meade 26 millimeter. Let's bump that up even to a little bit higher. Let's go with the 8.8. So you see here with this is, what object is this? Gamma Hercules? Marfic in Hercules. This should give you a rather accurate description of what the object should look like with the 231 times magnification with your 8-inch scope on an 8.8 millimeter eyepiece. So for double star observers, I think you'll get a lot from this product. For observers that enjoy maybe seeing the objects visually, I think you're, before doing your observing planning, maybe you're a bit, you really want to observe items that you know are going to be impressive. I think the visual thumbnail view is very, very important for you and really help you out with that. And I can't say enough about how the product seems to render the night sky accurately. I have used a couple of other products, a couple of other competitors' products, and I will tell you that they leave a little bit desired to be as far as within the application and how it renders the night sky. I know one product in particular, you can go ahead and use an external program, which works very, very well. By the way, Cartes du Ciel, probably mispronouncing that too, but that's okay. Astroplanner in particular, I really love the user interface of Astroplanner. I think it's a little bit easier to navigate, frankly, than SkyTools 3. And I think it's a little bit easier to use in those regards. But one of the weaknesses of the program is its lack of any type of integrated star chart or sky chart program. It's very rudimentary. And as far as the way it views or renders the objects in the eyepiece, I think is rather weak. This is where SkyTools actually really shines very, very well. So I hope that you enjoyed this brief review of SkyTools 3. I do say that it comes as a recommended product for you. If cost is a concern, maybe there's some other products out there. Astroplanner certainly rates extremely high up there as far as I'm concerned as well. But again, I think if you're a double star observer or you like to see what the objects are going to appear visually before even really adding them completely to an observing list, well, I got to give both of those strengths to SkyTools 3. Well, this is John Kramer. This is going to wrap up our review or first impressions of SkyTools3 for episode number 76 of the At The Eyepiece Show. Coming up next is going to be our impressions of the Zemo 1.25" zoom eyepiece.